This is Midrash Tanchuma on Parshat Noach, and it's entitled Noach, aka Elon Musk, Henry Ford, and the Wright brothers. Now, have you ever seen, maybe it's in all big cities, because I've seen it in Manhattan, where there's some guy walking around with a sign saying the world is coming to an end. And people don't pay any attention to him, just another nutcase, don't worry about it. So a lot of people think that was Noach. He was building an ark, telling people there's going to be a flood. People thought he was nuts. Who's going to listen to this lunatic? Just, drive right by on your mule or your horse. Don't even stop, because it's not that interesting. So if you think that, there's one problem. That is, the Midrash says exactly the opposite. In fact, the Psukim themselves. How did Noach get his name, Noach? So I'll read it to you. It says, Vayikra Shemo Noach lemor zeh nachamenu ma'asenu me'atzbon yadenu. Right? This one will provide us relief from our work and the toil of our hands, from the very soil which God cursed. In other words, the Midrash says that when Noach came on the scene, number one, the curse was removed, so whatever you planted, you actually got. Instead of getting thorns and thistles, when you planted wheat, you got wheat. But even more so, he invented tremendous agricultural tools, which completely changed. It was a game changer for the whole economy, for the whole lifestyle of the generation. He was the Elon Musk of the generation. People didn't have to work as much. Food was plentiful. Everything changed. Sociologically, it was a complete different society. And everybody knew that one man was responsible. That is Noach. So he's not that crazy guy holding the sign. He is the most respected guy in the generation. Not only is he ingenious, but somehow, he has this influence, whether they believed in God or not, somehow this influence even over what the earth brings forth. So now the question is, fine. So he was very influential. A lot of people consulted him on why he's building the ark. So then why wasn't he successful? Now, you could say he wasn't successful because people weren't interested. Later on when they built the Tower of Babel, so the question is asked, how come that generation wasn't destroyed? They were fighting with God. Here, they're only fighting with each other. And the answer, of course, is yes, God prefers fighting with God and having unity to people robbing from each other. It says, right, the world was full of Hamas. They were robbing each other. They were not acting morally to one another, and that's why God had to destroy the world. But there's another way you could look at it. There's a Midrash later on where Avram Avinu, at the time that he's trying to save Sodom and arguing with God, he actually says something to God. He says he has a complaint, according to the Midrash. His complaint was, when people go through life and they face all kinds of adversity, things go wrong, it makes them question their value system. It's a wake-up call. They learn they could grow from these setbacks and adversity. He said, at the time before the flood, you didn't build in that into the world. It wasn't part of your system. So people didn't know that anything was gone wrong. If the guy saw an old lady crossing the street and he pushed her down and took her purse, nothing went wrong. If people stole from each other, beat each other up, whatever they did, there was no consequences. They didn't feel there was any consequences. There's no reason for them to start questioning whether there's some moral system, whether there's a God in the world, whether maybe they should improve, if anything happened to them. Did they think, wow, maybe, I have to think about, did this happen because I need to start, inspecting my ways and seeing if I'm living a just and moral life? No. It just didn't exist. And God agreed with Avram that he would now implement that, but that was later on. But here, possibly you could say that is the reason why Noach failed, because people did not have the sensitivity that there's anything as reward and punishment, schar v'onesh, just wasn't there. Okay, so in part 2, we're going to see, though, that there is tremendous guilt that Noach was holding, shame and guilt because no one came aboard. and what the consequences of that were. Shabbat Shalom.